It's Dr. Abby on Tell Me the Stories of Jesus, and we start our series in October talking about Daniel and his friends and how their story applies to you and I as young boys and girls, friends of Jesus, doing what is right and what pleases God. So we start with Daniel chapter 1. They were so important. A whole book is written in the Bible and it's called Daniel. That's a big deal. So Daniel, in the book of Daniel chapter 1, remember in many stories we've told you how one country will go to war with another country, and whichever country wins will then bring back people from that country that has lost, and they bring them back as servants, as slaves to serve them, to work for them. And that's what happened. King Nebuchadnezzar went to Israel and he warred against them. He won and he brought back Israelites to his own country. And among them was Daniel and his three friends, and their names later changed. So their original names were not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, but let's just focus on them and not the names per se and how it changed, because even Daniel's name was changed when he got there. And so they came to this new country, and then the king said, you know what, bring me some of the boys from Israel, and then also some of the descendants of the king. So that means maybe the king's sons or his grandsons. He must have had specification for them, but some of the descendants, the Bible says, of the king, and also some of the sons of the nobles in the palace. So that means people like ministers, governors, and all. And then the king said, bring them. And for you to qualify for such things, we've discussed it before. Where? Correct. When we're talking about Esther, when Esther was chosen. Just not anybody is chosen for these things. Yeah? And so the king had criteria. Somebody who is wise, somebody who is, they needed to have certain physical build and things like that. And he said, bring them. And then among them was Daniel and his three friends. And then the king gave them to his officials, and he told them what to do, but they were to train them for the next 3 years. So same as Esther, remember hers was for 6 months. So 3 years, Daniel and his friends were meant to be there with other chosen Israelite boys, and then descendants of the king, and also children of the noble. And then after 3 years, the king was going to look at them and, pick his final numbers. He wanted them to work with him as wise men. And so when they brought Daniel and his friends, lots of food, unbelievable, yummy, yummy food they were given. Food, wine, different things to eat and drink. But remember, Daniel and his friends are from Israel. Daniel looked at everything that was laid down and he said, I don't want it. I don't want it. There was nothing bad in eating those things. Other Israelite boys ate it. I'll say nothing bad per se. So what happened is that Daniel knows that according to the culture in this country where he was, such food were first offered as, to the gods, more like a sacrifice, more like bless this food. And being a Christian, he didn't want to eat what had been offered to gods before he then ate it. So he took his stand. His parents were not there. Yeah, but he knew it really wasn't right. God wouldn't really like him to do it. If he was in Israel, he wouldn't eat such. So why should he eat it when he's in a different place? So he told the head of, all the officials looking after them. And he said, I don't want this. And the head was like, no, you have to eat what the king has said you should eat. I don't want to get in trouble. No. Because he said, give me vegetables and just water. Boring, isn't it? But then the head said no. And Daniel was quiet. And then he went to meet another official and said, you know what? Why don't you try us for just 10 days? Let us eat only vegetables and water for 10 days. Then compare us with all the other boys and see who looks better fed, who looks well, out of all of us, then decide if we can continue. And then they did the test for 10 days. And wow, Daniel and his 3 friends, they really looked robust. They looked fresh, better than the other boys. And so that official was convinced and he allowed them to do that. And they were prepared. They taught them different things, in that preparatory school. And then at the end of 3 years, the Bible makes us to know that Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, long names here, tongue twisting, don't worry. By the end of October, you'll be able to tell me everything. You'll be able to pronounce it. Abednego, Shadrach, Meshach, Daniel. The Bible says they were better than all the other boys. The king looked at them and they were better on vegetables and water. For 3 years, they weren't eating all the meat and the yummy things just because they stood for what was right by their God, our God. Yeah? And that brings me to the end of that story of Daniel and his 3 friends for this episode, for this Sunday. We will learn more as we go on. So let us go back and learn like you and I always do. And remember, after this, you will go and read the book of Daniel chapter 1, and you will bring out even more lessons than Dr. Abby. So the first thing, they were far away from home. But they were, when they were to be selected for something special, they qualified. Do you develop yourself in a way in which if suddenly they say, we want so and so and so type of children for such an important role, would you qualify? Yeah? It had to do with, are you a good boy? Or will they say, we want somebody to represent the school, and they're like, don't take Tom, he's going to pinch the person sitting next to him. Do you live your life as Christians? And Christianity is not an excuse. In fact, it is the reason why you must even strive to be better and better. Don't just sit back and say, God will do it. No, work hard. That is what will get you into the palace. Esther had to be a virgin. She had to be pure. You have to be pure, you have to be blameless, you have to be wise. So develop yourself, find out more about things, try and be intelligent, move with people that know a lot. If you don't know, try and know better. That's one thing. And Daniel had his company of friends with the same value. Imagine if Daniel says, I'm not eating that meat, and Shadrach said, that meat will I eat morning, evening, and night. No, he moved with friends with the same values. If you don't move with friends with the same values, they will pull you down. I'm not saying don't be friends with other people, but I'm talking people that you want to do things together, you want to take steps together. You can't, if you're friends with somebody who doesn't want to study and you want to study, please tell me, how are you going to move along? So it's not only even in Christian things. And then we come to Christian things also. You have been brought up, don't lie. And then you're moving with somebody that everything is a lie. You won't go far. And usually it's that person with the more negative traits that pulls you down. You with the positive traits. So be careful. Yeah? And then Daniel and his friends, they stood for the value of the things that they had been taught. What pleases God? Always take a step back and say, will this please God? Will it really please God? And then even if the situation now looks difficult, remember the head official says, no, the king is going to be angry. Go back and think again how you can approach the situation. So don't just always take the first no and then no is no. They went back to another official and said, okay, test us for 10 days, which was a good negotiation. Yeah, remember to think on the spot. Remember Miriam, big sister of Moses? On the spot, she quickly, thought of a solution. That's what we must be as children of God. Don't wait and say, oh, somebody has given me a no. When mommy comes, mommy will tell me what to do. No, God, please, what else can I do? What else can I do? Think on the spot. And can you see how God then helped them? And, self-discipline. I mean, for 3 years, vegetable and water, it takes a lot of discipline. So as a child of God, we must be disciplined. We must be disciplined. We must obey instructions. We must not just break rules. You know, if they sought permission to do what they were doing and they worked with the officials, they didn't just do their own thing. And God came through for them. And if you stand for Jesus, you stand for Christ, you do what is right, you move in the company of people like you, like-minded Christians, born-again Christians, you know, you have good values, God will come through for you. God will make you shine. And so until the next time when we meet and tell me the stories of Jesus and we continue on the story of Daniel and his friends, it's Dr. Abby. Be good. Bye.